I'm Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan. I'm going to go ahead and say that we are in the golden age of cycling right now. Last year's Giro d'Italia Stage 19, Chris Froome's coup up the Col de Finestre was the most exciting race that I could really remember, but it has just been outdone time and time again this season, most recently with Sunday's Amstel Gold race.
Yeah, so this race opened up around 45 kilometers to go with Mathieu van der Poel charging off the front of the field. Just perfect timing, perfect execution, and obviously Mathieu van der Poel level strength. Nobody could even get on his wheel except for poor Gorka Izagirre. And Gorka could not even really pull with him, or was given instructions not really to pull. We saw a lot of head shakes from him every time Mathieu waved him through. They got out to a decent gap, but then were brought back, and
So Van der Poel did get off with Gorka. One thing that I do want to touch on about Van der Poel is just how good he is at attacking. This is really, it shows not only his strength, but just the timing that he can employ when making an attack. He consistently gets a gap. He does not drag anybody along with him. He got away clear without any favorites. This, however, did mean that the entire field was chasing him down. So Van der Poel and Gorka Izagirre did get brought back. And this really opened up the race from that point on. We saw Deceuninck Quick-Step capitalize on the counter-attack. They sent Julian Alaphilippe up the road with a very select group of riders.
Yeah, and Quick-Step knew exactly what to do, and Van der Poel really totally opened himself up. I mean, this looked like a really rookie mistake, going all in on one big attack. And then the more experienced, bigger, dominant team in these classics charges off the front. Dries Devenements takes Alaphilippe.
You nailed it.
takes Alaphilippe up the road, and then Alaphilippe launches solo with just Jakob Fuglsang on his wheel. Matteo Trentin was with him. Matteo Trentin falls back. And it looks like Fuglsang and Alaphilippe were going to walk away with this thing. They had a minute clear. They go over the Kauberg. Tons of chasers from behind. Max Schachmann goes off the front. Trentin and Kwiatkowski are chasing. Simon Clark and Bauke Mollema are chasing. And then Romain Bardet attacks, and Van der Poel comes out of the field again, but it appeared like it was way too late in the running.
Yeah, so I actually watched this race on replay. I did not catch it live. And I got a lot of text messages from some coworkers telling me how exciting the finish was. And with 10K to go, I was like, I don't see it. Julian Alaphilippe wins. Easy. Alaphilippe and Fuglsang were pretty clearly looking like they were going to get first and second. It was Matteo Trentin and Michael Kwiatkowski battling for third. Max Schachmann, Simon Clark, and Bauke Mollema in the third group. And Grupo Van der Poel was just way off the back, but Van der Poel managed to draw out a lot of favorites with about, 8 kilometers to go. This included Greg Van Avermaet and Romain Bardet. And what happened in the final 10 kilometers of this race was just pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that set this all up was Fuglsang and Alaphilippe playing a lot of cat and mouse. And, my take here is that Fuglsang, when you know you're probably going to lose, maybe you should just accept that you're going to get second and keep riding. He started attacking Alaphilippe, trying to get rid of him. When that didn't work, he started sitting on Alaphilippe. Alaphilippe was seemingly having none of that, started basically soft pedaling towards the finish. This allowed Kwiatkowski to get back up to their group. Fuglsang, either he needs to get better at sprinting, or if he's up the road with someone he's going to lose to, just know you're going to get second and ride for second place.
No, I actually love how Fuglsang raced this. This was the exact same position that we saw him in just a month ago at Strade Bianche. He was up the road with Julian Alaphilippe, who clearly was going to have the better of him in the finish. And this is a really interesting dynamic that we saw play out, and it really set the tone for what happened in the final couple kilometers. Julian Alaphilippe was going to beat Fuglsang. Fuglsang didn't work with him, and whenever you are just as talented and as amazing a rider as Alaphilippe is, you're going to have a really hard time getting anybody to work with you in the closing kilometers of a race. But Alaphilippe he doesn't help himself. He's really vocal in these breakaways. He's always yelling at people, trying to make them work. And just from my perspective, sitting on the couch watching, it looked like Vogelsang would have rather gotten 10th place than helping Alaphilippe to another victory.
Yeah, I mean, but that's Vogelsang's decision to make. Like, if he did end up on the podium at the end of the day, but, I mean, if you would rather get 10th place than lose the bike race, that's fine. But I think for Alaphilippe, he does have to ride. I mean, if you are a winner, if you're the strongest guy, you also have to accept that role and just ride. I have nothing against him, running his mouth, talking to other riders, doing whatever he can do to make them put in more effort than maybe they should be doing. But at the end of the day, he is going to have to ride, and just know that he's going to have to put out a little bit more energy because everybody's looking at him to win this bike race, but not for long.
Yeah. So one person who was completely not worried about what anybody else in the bike race was doing was Mathieu van der Poel. And that was really the end of the day. What we saw on the finishing stretch of this bike race was the end of the race of the century.
Here comes Kwiatkowski, left-hand side hits the front and he's right back in the game. How did they let them do this? Alaphilippe behind, Kwiatkowski at the front and Vogelsang in third place. 600 metres to go, but we've got a group of other riders still ready to go.
Kwiatkowski is now towing Alaphilippe to the finish.
400 metres. Van der Poel behind, Clark with him, Schachmann, Baldet, Madois, there's Lambrecht, Trentin, Demarchi and Mollema, but it's the front three we're occupying ourselves with at the moment. This still could be anybody's. We've had one breathless finish already today. We're going to have another now inside the final couple of 100 metres. It's Alaphilippe who takes off on the right hand side. Look at Van der Poel going from behind though. Look at Van der Poel on the left hand side. Mathieu van der Poel's going to do it. Mathieu van der Poel, this is incredible. I have never ever seen anything like this in my life. Mathieu van der Poel has done it. This place erupts and Netherlands has a home winner. It's Roy of the Rover stuff for Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah, I mean, he was down, 40 seconds or more with 2 kilometers to go. We saw Max Schachmann on the front of this group, pulling it back up to the leaders. And then with about 600 meters to go, Van der Poel gets on the front, pulls it all the way back to the leader, starts his sprint with 500 meters to go, blows past Vogelsang, and then crosses the line. Disbelief in what he's done. I mean, the guy is so unbelievable that he can't even believe that he possesses these powers to win bike races in this manner.
Ongelooflijk.
How did the sprint go? Unbelievable.
Pas de laatste 300 meter zei ik eigenlijk dat we nog konden winnen, dat het de eerste groep was. En,
I didn't believe we could win.
Dat had ik echt niet verwacht.
Ik wou net zeggen.
I really didn't expect it at all.
That is just one of the most incredible things about Van der Poel is with 10 kilometers to go, any reasonable person would have counted him out. But Van der Poel did not count himself out, and that's really key. What I think Alaphilippe honestly should have done in the finish is exactly what Van der Poel did. Alaphilippe should have just gone, trusted his sprint, and he may have still beaten Vogelsang. Instead, he was so worried about Vogelsang sitting on that they completely tanked the race for themselves. Van der Poel, complete opposite. He led a massive group just straight past Vogelsang and Alaphilippe in the finish and trusted his legs, and they came through.
Yeah, I mean, totally turned the tables on the whole race. He was obviously someone that was not at all worried about getting 10th or where his placing in the top 10 would be. And I think that is what is taking us from having disbelief in what Van der Poel does to what is soon going to be a sort of expectation for him just to do incredible things race after race. I mean, the one thing we don't talk about with this guy enough is his incredible will to win. I mean, we know he possesses the genetic gifts. We know he's an incredible bike handler. But yeah, just driving to the line like he does, race after race. I mean, there's no race he lines up at that he doesn't believe he can and should win, and he's proving that he will do it. I think if you go back and look at his dad's win at the 1990 Amstel Gold, which played out in almost an exactly similar fashion, Audrey van der Poel overtaking 2 riders in the final meters before the line, you see exactly where this drive, where this will to win comes from, and it is a trait. I mean, it's inherent. It's something that's been born into him that is, I think, even more powerful than his bike handling skills, than his physical gifts. It's just this insane drive that he has.
And I think that that's really what we love about Mathieu van der Poel, is that he just rolls with the punches. Everything that any bike race can throw at him, he reacts to it and he overcomes it, from that crash that we saw, which should have completely taken him out of the running at Tour of Flanders, to this incredible comeback at Amstel Gold. I think we are going to see a lot more bike racing like this from Mathieu van der Poel, and the world of cycling is looking pretty bright because of it.
Let's get into this women's race, because when I saw the finish of the women's race, I was thinking to myself, this is so thrilling, this is so incredible. I don't know how the men are going to outdo what we just saw in the women's race. A group of select favorites comes into the base of the Cauberg. Mitchelton Scott, Trek Segafredo, CCC team, or CCC Live, and of course Boels Dolman and Cannon Tram, all with the top contenders in this group. And then one of the best attacks we've seen this season, men, women, bike racing in general, Kasia Niewiadoma just lights up the Cauberg.
Yeah, if you missed the old finish of Amstel Gold where they finished on top of the Cauberg, go watch the women's race, because that is the route they do. And Kasia Niewiadoma just pulled the Philippe Gilbert attack as well as Philippe could have done it himself.
And she's giving it her all. A look behind, but Niewiadoma here is riding away from them.
She just rode Marianne Vos off her wheel.
Yeah, and not only Marianne Vos, Amelia Fallon, the Swedish national champion, was also right there in the mix. She cracked so hard she literally has to stop pedaling. Marianne Vos recovers, tries to get on Annemiek van Vleuten's wheel as Van Vleuten is charging by, and then set up just this incredible individual pursuit, the final kilometer and a half over the top of the Cauberg to the finish. I mean, if there's nobody else that you want chasing you down the last kilometer and a half than Annemiek van Vleuten. We saw what she did to Anna van der Breggen in the final meters of the course, and it looked like Niewiadoma was toast, but again, just that drive, that will to win. She managed to hold her off by, a few meters at the line.
Yeah, and Kasia Niewiadoma is another winner who you just love to see, because like Van der Poel, she puts herself out there. She puts herself in risky situations in bike races.
That's my style, I need to feel that I'm racing in order to be able to really give all my power and energy in the last attack. If I feel that I'm in the race and I'm kind of in charge of every single situation, then I feel like, okay, I can do it. I'm more confident, and that's what I need.
Seeing her pull off this win, it was another really nail-biter of a finish. 2 incredible races that we saw in the Netherlands over the weekend.
Yeah, if you didn't see them live, go back and watch them on demand on FloBikes, and yeah, can't wait till the next one.